This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Six o'clock. So we'll start the June 17th, 2026 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. And the first thing that we will do is the minutes from the previous meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Do you want discussion? Well, I think we have to make the motion first.
Motion to approve the minutes.
And then a second.
I'll second.
And then discussion.
I think you already brought it.
Yeah, spelling.
Spelling
of Omar's name. Edits. Okay, seeing none. We don't have anyone online, so we can just say everyone in favor. Aye. Everyone else is good enough. The minutes are approved. And so next we have public speak. So if anyone would like to speak from the community, if you just state your name and your street, and then you have about 3 minutes. Would anyone like to speak?
We just can wait for skate park, right?
Yeah, so, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like?
Yeah. Just
Yeah, please state your name.
Just state
Oh, you can
yours,
go. Just state your name and your address.
Yeah, my name is Teresa Hopper and I live on 9 Lines Avenue. And
I'm sorry, could you say your last name again?
Hopper, Hoffer. So I was just wondering, how do you get something on the agenda for the meetings? Do I have to write a letter?
Just an email to me and then I usually forward it to the chair.
It's simple. Okay, thank you.
All right, great. Okay, so first we have a number of CPA projects that are in progress. The first we have the skate park. So John, you want to share
Sure,
your
so,
update and then we'll check in with the committee.
So skate park, the bid is out. It'll be the deadline is July 8th at 9 a.m. And you're right, Jeff, we did use bid docs for that for some reason. It's in person, the opening of that day. So it'll be in person on the 8th at 9 o'clock. Quite a few contractors have pulled the bid form. So we get a list of how many people we sent it out to. And there's got to be 15 already that are interested in this project. So I think that's good for numbers. The more you have, hopefully the more competitive it is. Westfield just completed their bid opening and their numbers came in really good. So that's encouraging. I had a conference
Do they
call.
have the same size park?
No, theirs is bigger. I had a conference call with Eddie and Jeff from the skate park committee yesterday to get an update on finances. They're on track for their goals for the middle of July fundraising goals. Jeff, you can speak to that in a minute if you want. But very encouraged with their efforts and the community's efforts. The fire department did a nice fundraiser for them a couple weeks ago up at Millside. So there's been a lot of activity to help get to that 75,000 is the number that was promised as part of the bid package with CPA in the city. Jeff, you want to give an update on your end?
Sure. If I could, yeah, I'm Jeff Bagg, 49 Taft Ave. This is Dave Dion and Adrian Dion. They've been part of our team all along. Their son Pellets actually spoke at one of the CPA meetings. As John said, we're really happy. We're working really well on the project together. Our fundraising has gone really well also. And so that was what I just wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to tell the commission that we're at approximately, these numbers are approximate at the time being, but we're at approximately 48,000. And our target was 60,000 by June 30th. And so we're close. We're going to be close to hitting that. But we're still talking to the people to try to generate and get the rest of that funding in place. The firefighters fair, if you heard about it, was really successful. We partnered with them. They offered to host the event and offer us the proceeds. And I did want to share to the committee that they told us today that they raised just over 5,000 from that event, and then we raised about 1,000 from the raffle. So, and then they're going to donate on top of that. So that one event raised almost $8,000 for our project, which is way higher than we thought. And then there's a couple other smaller events that we have an art show on Saturday at New City Brewery where local artists painted skateboard decks, and they're going to kind of do this auction raffle type thing. And then we're just poised to kind of talk to some larger funders to see if we can get one final donation, one or more larger donations to kind of finish this off. But we want to be at the table with the town. We wanted you to know that as the bids get open, we have money in our bank. We're going through the process now to be ready to transfer the money so the city knows it's there and available. But we've had a lot of community support, and a lot of people are looking forward to construction starting, and then obviously getting out there for ribbon cutting so people can enjoy the park.
To follow up on that, so we're gonna meet, because we don't know where the numbers are. We put the bid package out. So we're gonna meet the skate park committee leadership and myself on the 9th, the day after the bid opening. And then we'll kind of crunch numbers. There are a few ad alternates that are part of the bid project as well. So we'll see what numbers 1, 2, or 3 can get done. See where the funding lands overall. So I think we're looking at contracts signed by like the July 23rd, something in that range, with whatever one is selected. So it gives us a couple weeks to kind of hammer out where we need to be before we sign contracts with whoever wins the bid. I miss anything, Jeff, for that? Wrap it up.
No, it's great. We just appreciate the support. It's really exciting.
All right.
All right.
Dog park, I think they're upstairs.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I think they're upstairs tonight. I think for the other 135, I believe,
For the CPA.
for the
approval.
CPA.
I think so too.
So we'll see where they are. We'll have more of an update after that. See if they get the funding approval.
I thought CPC did approve. that.
They did, but then it goes to
But then it
Oh,
goes.
that's
then it
right.
goes to
then it
finance,
goes-
and then it goes to a public hearing, and
Yeah.
it kicks around for a while. So, yeah, I think, with the override vote being so close, I think any project that comes forward to the city council now is gonna be under a watchful eye, all public hearings, so, I will see how it shakes out up there tonight, but, so we'll see. Spray park, we have signed an aquatic engineer design firm. They were on site today. They're moving really fast. We're hoping to have construction docks and that type of stuff done by June 30th. So I'm hoping to close out their contract by June 30th with the engineering firm. They have this is what they do. So they have the expertise to get where we got to go. So I'm very pleased with this group that we're dealing with. And don't ask me the name right now because I can't remember. But I can get that to you.
Do you have a timeline on construction for that project or length of time?
So we're looking to like October, and we're gonna do it so we don't shut down the spray park. So we're gonna try to get as much done before snow and ice, and then circle back in the spring and finish off. So we have our footprint is in place. We have a lot of infrastructure. It's an easy access, so construction shouldn't be a long, drawn out process. These companies usually come in and they hammer this stuff out pretty quick. So I would think maybe a 6 to 8 week construction time once the fixtures are on site. So Pittsfield is building one a little bit smaller than ours. They didn't start until after the 1st of May, and they need to be done by June 30th. So that's the 8 week time frame. So once these, and they're using the same firm and same group. So once they get in there, they want to get the job done and get out. So I'm very comfortable that we won't affect any spring park hour the year. Nash Pond project, the Point project is starting soon. I won't know the official. They have to contact me a week before they mobilize, so we can go over exactly where they can be, where they can't be, where they're parking their trucks, vehicles, things like that. So they haven't contacted me yet, so I know we're at least a week away before they start on that project. On a side note, the other project at the Nash Pond Committee, the viewing deck out here is rolling right along. Holy cow, it looks nice out there. So that was a great project that they took on because that was a hazard for sure. So thank you to the Nash Pond Committee for that.
And what was that, viewing?
It's the viewing deck out here on the pond, right near the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And then the historical designation, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission's been on site quite a bit the last few weeks. They've been taking pictures of our maps, our records, our facilities. They must have a lull in some of their projects because they're really full on with our stuff right now, which is good. Like I said, it takes a couple of years to get on the national registry. So we're still moving along on that. So seeing progress. Any questions on CPA projects?
No.
FY26, we're closing out the budget. We got a few high dollar items that have come through late here. The highway department was in today saying we got about a $1,500 repair for truck 91. The 1 ton, they're hoping that the fix they did today is the long-term solution, but if not, we could be looking at some more repairs for that vehicle. And tree work. So above Bocce, there's a tree next to Bocce that's very concerning. I got a price on it and gave them approval. So hopefully very soon they're taking that tree down. I think you know which one I'm talking about, but it's
Yeah.
there's one right there that needs to get out of there. And then there's a tree in the cemetery that's cautioned off that broke off partly into the pond, but it's hanging on the bank and it's a hazard as well. So K&J gives a good price and they'll come in and take care of those. Anytime there's tree work near pavilions, ball fields, bocce, anywhere where there's people, we identify it and get it removed, getting the funding approved, even though it was internally, took a little bit. So it's taken a little bit longer than I wanted to get them to do it. So, but we'll be done. It'll be done before the end of June, so we can spend that money. FY27 budget. You didn't hear the override pass. One of the things for us.
This is the historical commission.
No, are they in the back of the
Back of the second floor, maybe.
back of the second floor? Yeah, that's where they've been talking about. So a couple of things with the budget. The process of the override and the timing of it really kind of put us in a jam for a lot of things because everything we do depends is this time of year. and not knowing if we have money or what we can do, was challenging. We had, and I'll get into it now, but, we had 4 lifeguards, accept positions. We've since had 2 that have declined the position. So we're down to 2. HR has put out feelers, emails. They're working extra hard this week to get the word out. The ones we have, I've talked to them and said, whatever people did the class with you, let them know. We've had a few apply, but you have to be 16 to be a lifeguard. And they're like 15 and 9 months, 15 and 10 months. They're just
Is it
not.
because you can take the course when you're 15?
Yeah, so you can set yourself up. A lot of them take it when they're 15 and a half or, getting close to 16. So they have it. So when they can start, they can go. So I had a meeting today with the current lifeguards that we have. We're down in the pool area. It was a disaster. With how dirty it and how many leaves, even covering it early, there's still so many leaves that got in there. But they're working hard. They're going to vacuum it again tomorrow. We'll vacuum it, even though Friday's a holiday. Most of the staff's coming in on Friday because there's just too much stuff that needs to be done. We have the watch party. They want to make sure that is all set with what they need. The pool needs a lot of attention. The whole park needs a lot of attention. George was away for 2 weeks. Ted's been out sick for a week and a half. Dan, my foreman's on vacation this week. It's all hitting the fan. And it's, the folks I have are putting in the extra effort to get where we can go. But, it's been a challenge at the end of the year here for fiscal year.
About the guards, do you have any idea of what the reason was for the acceptance and then decline?
They found full-time
There weren't- so there weren't-
year-round full-time
Oh, right,
positions.
because they weren't certain whether they.
Yeah, so we knew, we promised them we'd have 4. We
Yeah.
promised them employment this year. We promised them 40 hours a week, full season, because we could afford that. Even if the override didn't go through, we were gonna be able to afford 4 lifeguards, pay them and make sure they were whole. No, they found permanent employment instead of seasonal.
Oh, okay.
So
Hmm.
that's kind of the challenge of having a pool that's only seasonal is you got to capture that where you have YMCA, they're year round. They're indoors. I mentioned the HR today to contact Williston. I contacted Williston. They never got back to me, so I'm hoping they get back to HR. They have a pool. They have lifeguards. They don't have a full season. They don't have 40 hours over there. So even if we get 20-hour lifeguards or whatever we may do, we're in a jam, but we're trying to dig out of it anyway.
The other
Sure
thought
we can.
would be if those people that accepted a Y position, that position's probably not full time. So in the summer, maybe they would consider half-time or whatever.
Yeah, so HR's reached out to the Y, Northampton. They're reaching out to Williston, Hampshire Regional. They reached out to Easthampton High. We went to Easthampton High's job fair in April, and get out a lot of information. We did get, one of the ones that didn't take it or took it, but then didn't take it was from that. The other one is still staying with us. So
You check the Hoyok Y?
yeah, they're HR isn't responsible for all hiring. So I just go in with suggestions like, here's all the people I know in pools. I reach out to our Pioneer Valley group of like, okay, but everybody's scrambling still locally.
What other private
Jim-
clubs are doing?
Jim from Northampton Park and Rec, he had because he teaches the class, and so he is going to reach out to the ones that took his class, and if they have not had employment yet, he's going to send them to HR. So
I think two outdoor pools. I don't know what they're doing at Museum Beach, the People Institute and Country Club.
And the Holyoke like Canoe Club, like they're, yeah.
I know,
Got your mail.
You got that.
perfect timing. Yeah, so we're, I even reached out to the mayor's office to do a press release, get it out to 22 News and see if there's any. I said that to them on Monday. I know they've been really busy with a lot of things, but
Oh, yeah.
hopefully,
Get a lot of kids.
what's that?
Social media.
Yeah, it's on
A lot of
Facebook,
kids that
it's
are
on-
city posted it.
yeah, it's on a lot of stuff like that, so. They even, I think they were going to reach out to, we had 15 something kids that didn't get interviewed for camp. They were going to reach out to all of them as well and say, you know what? If you want to be employed, lifeguard is the way to go. Here's an
Yeah,
opportunity. And we reimburse you for your training. So you make more money than if you did if you're a camp counselor, and you get reimbursed for the classes. So, yeah, so, override pass, and then I get another stress in my life. Yeah. Any questions on so the budget hasn't passed officially either. So next, the 24th or the 25th, Evan spoke from the mayor's office was going to let me know which one he thought we needed to be at for department heads to see where we were going to land. The city council can cut still. So when they can still look at a department and say even though their override went through and say we want to cut 800,000 from this budget, they can do that. So there's nothing in stone yet until they sign it.
So the material that you had provided to us last month, would you say that the two budget, is that what we should be looking at as far as what you're putting forward?
The good one is the one that is the one that was put forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that's put forward. That's the one city council can look at and do what they want.
And give you more money.
They cannot get more money.
They're gonna say-
City council cannot get more money.
The rec coordinator position fall within the good one.
It didn't. That was the first act.
First thing
That was the first act.
I thought you had mentioned though you were trying to
Yeah.
leave the position but not ask for the
So
funds.
that
or
was just to
whatever.
get it.
That
on.
was just to get in the pay
okay.
plan. They still haven't done anything on that yet.
Okay.
So the
And
position
I
is-
don't want to push on that just because
Yeah.
I go to a lot of these meetings, but some I miss, they go to all of them. And it's been an awful 2 months of night meetings. It's
Yeah.
been 2 or 3 nights a week of long nights. So, I will, when the dust settles, we'll get back on that and try to get it into the pay plan for September or October.
Yeah.
So we can move on it.
And just to clarify, that just means that the city has looked at it, created a description of the position, of payroll. So when we're talking about this publicly
Yes,
and it's reported, we're not saying the position will be available in September, October. It
They're
just
not
means that it will
posted
be
an
in
option
the
for the
system
future.
for a future
future
state.
2, 3, 5, 8
Yeah.
years from now, whatever it is. Yeah. Yep.
I did go to the finance committee's meeting when they did discuss the park budget with the override. And the only thing they were looking at potentially reducing, because they were looking at it across all departments, was any professional development, which there is none in the parks budget, and in-state travel. And they did talk about maybe lessening that. And then they remembered that when you first presented that the in-state travel is
It's just me using my
using your
vehicle.
personal
Vehicle
vehicle
to drive
to
around.
do your city job. And so they did remember that and bring that up. So they didn't mention reducing that. So I think the budget, at least the finance committee, seems like they will be supporting the budget presented with the override.
Yeah, so when I presented our budget, I dug out our FY14 numbers. And put that on the table as with our FY27. The rec department expense line has gone up $11 a year in the last 13 years. The cemetery's gone up $54 a year for 13 years for $700 total. And the park expense has gone up $320 a year. Outside of electricity and pool chemicals, which we have no control over, the stuff we can control over, we have increased less than $500 per year on our expense line for all our budgets in a 13-year period.
What's the total budget for the park? That's $500 on,
So on the,
Ish.
on the, so the total would be like 45 to 50,000.
Okay.
So,
it's pretty good.
yeah, real good. So, I wanted to make sure they understood, when they're looking at numbers, there's no one who looks harder at our numbers than I do. I think that it seemed to make it an easier go for when we were having our budget discussions in front of finance that night. And even there's a lot of people from the public that were there. And I didn't plant Beth there, but Beth Tiffany, spoke up and said, "So John, all that income that you bring in, where does that go?" And I said, "Oh, funny you mention that. Well, here's my little sheet that tells you."
I was just gonna ask, so how was the income over year?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we did 139. 2 years ago was at 130 last year. 1.6 million since I've been here has been turned over free cash. So yeah, that was a nice. I thank Beth for sending that reminder out to everyone that we try to do our part on that end. Any other questions on the budget? Park program, so camp registration is sold out except for week 1, which is only 3 days. And that's probably 75-80% sold out as well. So, yeah, that's crazy. March in the Park, I gave the schedules out last. That starts July 10th, I believe, is the first one. So we're all set to host that on Daily Field. As we get a little closer, a couple weeks out, we've notified the Council on Aging that it's going to be there, but we'll send out reminders, especially for their July newsletter to go out to remind folks that it's on Daily Field this year. One of the things we want to do is build a stage that can be broken down as well. So, musicians aren't putting their stuff on the grass or whatever. They can have just a little bit of a rise or maybe a foot or two and have, so we can do that. Once all the staff's back, but we can afford to have that. So that'll be a nice little thing for that as well. Summer staff, other than lifeguards, really, really good.
Oh, I still saw on the lifeguard position, when you click the link today from the city Facebook page, it showed, pool manager posting was still there.
Yep.
And pool cashier was still there. Are those still open positions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They're not as desperate, as the lifeguards. I'm CPO certified, so I can be the pool manager. So I have done that in the past.
I thought you were gonna say the cashier.
Oh, I definitely would take me down to that pool. I'll just sit there taking money all day. Sounds good to me. So yeah, those are still open as well, but they're not necessary as the other ones. Youth sports.
Sorry.
Okay.
So the 1 and 2 questions on social media right now are, when is the pool opening and when is the spray park opening?
Spray park's been open for a while.
I know. Can we, on the website, indicate for the 2026 season, like it is now, like spray park open as of whatever, pool will open as of, because it gives like a rough timeline. And so it would be great to have the specific dates there.
Yeah, well, I can't give a specific date on the pool. We just say the end of June.
Yep.
But we can put the spray park is open.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can do one of those little flasher things. Sometimes those websites have it,
Yeah.
So hopefully Sam's in tomorrow. I know the contract's coming at 7 in the morning, so hopefully that she handles that stuff. we can get that. If not, I can reach out to IT and see if they can.
Okay.
Put something in about that. But yeah, the phone rings
A lot.
at least 400 times
Yeah.
a day.
And those are the
That's,
questions.
the pool's the question.
So it might lessen the calls if it's available on the website and
Because
people
it says
have
it on
time
the,
to-
it says on the voicemail. They'll hang up and call right back, see if the answer changed. in the voicemail. Anything else?
So the
for you?
pool, will the pool open for the first week of camp though? Will the campers have
So,
access?
so that is the plan. So that, I should mention the Board of Health inspection is Tuesday, the 23rd. As long as it passes the pool inspection, then I have to have the water certified, which goes down to Connecticut. And then takes 24 hours to get certified. So usually once I have the pool inspection, usually I take the water sample, jump in my car and drive 1 hour and 45 minutes because there's not a place in Massachusetts, even though Massachusetts requires it, and drop it off at the testing facility so we can get the test done right away. I drive back in my own vehicle.
Fabulous.
So yeah, when I met with the guards, I said I want to be
Would
open.
like to do that.
I
for
would
you.
want to be open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for camp, or at least Thursday, Friday to get camp in there. It's the pool start, but it's all how this comes together, which it usually does somehow. Every year.
Make it work.
Yeah, every year it comes together somehow, some way.
So that's when the pool would be open?
We're hoping
That
next
first week,
Thursday, yeah,
okay.
which, camp starts on Wednesday, so we're hoping on Thursday,
Okay.
we'll be good to go, to get some, swim hours for camp.
And also with the pool, senior swim, is that still going to be available
So-
this year, depending on?
So, yeah, so it's all a big juggling act, so if we only have 2 lifeguards or 3 lifeguards to start, we might not have public hours until we can get more. If we don't have public hours, we're going to have senior hours and camp hours. That way, if it's 2 or 3, they can manage that crowd. So that's where we'll be.
That's going to be really disappointing.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Um,
if people purchased. pool
No
passes-
one's purchased anything yet. No, we don't sell it until the pool's open. So any passes, advance or anything like that, because yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. Even though it's a, new pool, you never know if you have a rip in the line or anything, like you just never know until you take that cover off and see what you're looking at. Right now, we're looking at a nice greenish tinge with lots of leaves.
Just like the reflecting pool.
Side trip wraps it, that's why.
So youth sports is on here because one of the focuses is going to be to coordinate with all leadership in youth sports, not just basketball, little soccer, but anybody that we deal with that uses the park that we assist with in youth sports. We want to meet with their leadership. And talk about the relationship and what we can do, and what our expectations are, what their expectations are, those types of things. What year is it? 2014, 13 years ago. So we did this like 13 years ago. With EVA, we laid out of our expectations for EVA, and what their expectations are of us. It was doing the queries for them, scheduling the registration days, doing advertising for them, scheduling the school supervisors, things like that. So there was all these bullet points. And then on the other side was our expectations were they would give us their meeting minutes. They would give us their financial reports. They would give us who their leadership, there was various things. So we're all like kind of know who's in charge, who's doing what, where we're all at. So with some of the things that in the last 6 months or so, I think it's important that we get back to looking at, especially when it's our facilities that are being used, uh, that we have a working relationship with the youth sports organizations. And it also lay the groundwork if the FA position is ever filled within the city. It kind of already kind of sets things up for that path. So I think it's an important step. We're in the very early phases on this. We're going to try, since soccer kicks back up in the fall, try to work with them first, and then maybe look at an August meeting with the EBA, and then kind of go down the line of with Little League and the other groups. So that's where we are with youth sports. Would you like to add anything at this point?
Yeah, I think, so I think it came up for two reasons. One, there were some recent changes with leadership with EYSA in general, and with sharing, information that was not accurate about what their expenses were and why their expenses were going up. Decisions being made around whether another organization could come in and use the fields for fees. I know John had talked about reaching out to connect and not getting timely response. And, there were a number of issues that happened. I don't want to go into specific details, but there was a big escalation in that. And it's a volunteer organization, and it's really hard to kind of help navigate when those things come up. And I think the reason why we talked about a rec coordinator position was to have a centralized person, someone whose job it is to kind of manage those things. And not having that position is really hard, but maybe this is a step to help create that bridge where expectations can be clearly laid out, like who is in charge of what, if something comes up, who do you contact, around that to give more support to the volunteer organizations, and also to better the communication. And, along the lines of what we've talked about previously is like, are there differences between what the park is doing for some sports organizations versus the others? And, whether it's lining fields or ordering different things. And we've talked about that for, since I've been on it, we've brought that up. And so I think this is like a way to help coordinate that, and to like offer some support to the board so that it's really clear. John, when I had talked to him about this, he had shared that agreement that they had with EBA previously. And one thing, that I think should be in there is that when there is leadership change, there should be a meeting with the parks director, just to introduce who you are, the best way to contact you, to keep those lines of communication open. Because it's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, and to that point, so when JT stepped down as president of Little League, I was one of the first calls he made. He said, "Jonathan, I'll let you know before it hits the streets, I'm going to be resigning as president of Little League." The very next day, Jay Graham, who's taking over as the president, was in my office to say, "Hey, and I'm like, yeah, JT told me we're all set, we're good to go." So those, they're in the office all the time. JT was in their office all the time. Jay was in the office all the time, always popping in, seeing what they can help with, whatever. I guess there's an ebb and flow of volunteer organizations. You get a group that's, just really active, really on point with everything. And then it might be a little dip. It's not their own fault. It's a volunteer organization. People have a lot of things going on. They do the best they can to keep it afloat. And then a new group comes in and it kind of goes. So I guess to kind of get it to a streamline of, so we kind of eliminate that where I don't have to contact anybody, when things are good. Like I know things are good, they're going well. We got a great, strong organization. So it's kind of like, I don't have to, but when things aren't going as well, I don't have that key contact or, the people that I can talk to about. So having the groups come in or going to a meeting and, introducing myself, introducing everybody and kind of getting a feel where we're going, I think, will be important. And like I said, if it ever translates into a position later on, it just establishes the baseline of where we can go.
And I think another thing is, when volunteer organizations are using the park facilities, their behavior and action also is reflective on the park. I know you've gotten a couple calls about questions about a couple of things from some board members and decisions made about increasing expenses, and that's not under your control, but also you need a clear line of communication with board leadership around that, and feeling like you can direct them there. But also, having people putting out misinformation is confusing, to people, especially when we're in a budget override. And then it's coming out that, well, youth sports need to raise their prices because of costs of mowing and field fees have gone up, which those are zero. The park does not charge youth sports that. And so I feel like that can get really tricky and put the parks city department in a really uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily.
So what came of that was, as we were getting into the override discussions, also at the same time, there was going to be a fee increase. So some folks were coming into my office saying, you are charging us more. I'm like, no. No. So we are not charging more for soccer. We have a soccer board. This is their fees. They use our facilities. So there was a lot of anxiety with the whole override and what people are paying and things like that. So, there was less than a handful, but there was enough people coming into the office pointing the finger at our department saying, you guys are, trying to sort of get these fees increased. And it was like, no, we're not. There's no, we don't charge for mowing. We don't charge for usage of the field for youth sports, for any of the youth sports that are town teams. So, it was creating the misinformation was creating some anxiety with folks, and it was getting laid onto us through the process. So that's why it's on the agenda. Over the next 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it is, we'll be reaching out to youth organizations and their leadership, and because sometimes they might not know, there might be a new group that doesn't know how we can support them. And say, oh, geez, I didn't know you guys could do that for us. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's a piece of cake. We can do that.
Yeah.
So it's like those types of things. So, because, there are some people that are new and haven't been around. So yeah, it's going to be good to have those conversations.
Yeah.
I was just going to add on to what you said when you talk about the ebb and flow. I think that we have an opportunity to create some structure for handovers from leadership, and that's something that someone who's volunteering in a position to be on a board doesn't necessarily know. But from our perspective of the things that we want them to know, to deal with the parks. So some of that flow you see going down is really probably about people not having any idea. And I remember being in that position years and years ago with the soccer board, and it's like nobody knew anything, and yet they built a building. So I think it would be great to have that, like a tool that can be sort of standardized across all of the sports that can just help with, because that transition, you want to make it as easy as possible. So that those volunteers, they're actually doing work. They're not repeating.
Exactly.
They're not having, and you're not having to sit and have the same conversation over and over again once it's written. You know.
It'd be just like our policies. It's going to be a live document. If we need to change it, things like that. But getting it started, I think, is an important step.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the things we talked about in the meetings with the prior mayor as well, when we were talking about the whole rec coordinator position, was that communication needing to be had amongst all the programs. I know like football was also in on the communication, and I know like the different programs need different things from you. Obviously, basketball won't need any lining of any fields, but there's certainly some administration stuff that can go into it. And I think even though the position doesn't exist, it's worth getting that communication out there. And then, like you said, as the volunteers come and go, at least there's somebody that still is constant and knows the flow of things. And I mean, people are gonna come to the Parks Department and come to you anyways for questions, so you might as well have the information so that you can pass it along instead of pointing fingers to somebody else. So,
Yeah, years ago when I first got here, I used to have just a folder with every youth organization, would say soccer, like all the stuff that we needed to do and, what we did and then for basketball, everybody, so it's like, okay, so it could be just handed off like, oh yeah, here's the history of football. But like I said, things were really smooth for a lot of years where I was like, oh, those guys are doing a great job. I don't have to worry about it. But truthfully, it needs to be back to where there's some structure and some.
And I do want to point out that it wasn't like the whole board went rogue. There was, one or two individuals who were acting without talking to the other people on the board and making decisions and, escalating things in a way that they didn't need to be escalated. And I think it's hard for a volunteer board to get on top of that or, and I really do feel like partnering with the Parks Department gives some stability in that. And I think, I used to be on the board, Desiree used to be on the board, like UISA for many years has been a really strong partner of the park. And I want to say it still is. It's just this, individual or two that really shook things up in a big way.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a positive moving forward. Getting communication.
Is there, I know you mentioned the contract kind of, I don't even know what specifically it was with EBA. I heard all about it because I was part of that. EBA disappeared and a group of people came in and said, we got this. Again, not knowing what we were supposed to be getting, but thankfully it was commented that obviously Parks did a lot. So it was very nice having your input on that side of it. But is there a document that kind of is like the shell already of like what you think you could give to each program or like what you do for Little League versus what you do for, EYSA versus what you do for maybe the high school sports? Because I know some of the fields are kind of overlap of the high school.
Yeah, there's
as well,
a shell of it. It'll have to be, updated and see what the needs are because, things have changed.
Yeah. I mean, each program needs something different. Some might be more labor, where some might be more
It's kind of like,
administrative.
if we can streamline some of the administrative stuff across the board, and then look at, some of the other maintenance things or others, so.
I mean, just speaking with like the Corey stuff, I know it wasn't until we started talking that I was like, I'm giving you the same names for every single season, but because it's different boards, I'm filling out this paper 3 times a year instead of just being able to be quarried once for the year.
Yeah.
However it worked out. So I mean, stuff like that will just certainly save a lot. I know being on all 3 of these boards at some point, I mean, the administrative side is the one that's hard because I mean, we're all full-time parents and have our own full-time jobs and just trying to volunteer and sometimes it gets overwhelming with
and that's
what people are asking.
exactly. So, and that's where if we can, provide, it's also, depending on what time of year it is, like if someone walks in my office and hand me a packet like this, it says, I need this by Friday, I'd be like, I better go somewhere else. But, so it's getting a plan in place where we know, I schedule everything out for the year. Like I know, like I want something from EVA by August 15th, whatever it is, the dates, whatever, it's kind of like scheduling out, and that would be in there in the document, like, okay, here's your time frame. You need to get Park and Rec this, and this is what they're going to do and whatever it may be. So it's not going to be tough to pull off. And like I said, it's going to be a living, breathing document. So if there's things that need to be changed or updated, because sometimes there's volunteers and board members that come on that have a certain expertise, and they, so it's like, you don't have to do that, because I have this, but still in there if you ever need you to go back to do this. But, we have someone who's really, active and wants to do this. And it's like, okay, go for it. So, but I think it's time to review and get in step with our youth organizations and see how we can help.
Anyone else have questions and thoughts? Jamie, do you want to speak at all as a representative from youth sports? You don't have to, I just, because you're here, I wanted to give you the.
Yeah, I'll just say hi to those that don't know me. Jamie Buckett. I'm once and current president of Easthampton Youth Soccer.
Oh,
So-
Guess who's back?
reluctantly.
Friends for life. Hashtag.
And I don't want to give, Jamie's, like you said, he's been past president. He's been wonderful to work with through the years. He's really done an amazing job. He's one of those people that isn't afraid to come into the office or have conversations and how we can help and work together. So, so I'm fortunate for you that you're back to being president, but I think it's good overall.
For the program.
For the program.
Call me in and we'll have a conversation. Well,
Yeah, we do have an email out to one of the board members to get a July meeting scheduled. Dave Marek
Okay.
is organizing that with some board members and John and myself.
We have to try to get on that first, is the soccer first.
Playing out EBA.
CBA's next.
Okay, park facilities.
Park facility, so maintenance, really nothing new on that for now. We really wanted to see how the override went through, even though it doesn't, there are two different, capital stabilization is where the maintenance building's coming out of. If and when it gets built, it has nothing to do with the override or the current city budget. So, but just because the energy was, and a lot of time and effort was spent towards getting the override and getting not only the override, but the city moving forward in a fiscal responsible way, even after, the budgets get approved. I'm still laying out a plan of how we're making sure the city doesn't get into this situation again for hopefully ever, but at least years to come. So
But just to be clear, this is a long overdue project. It is a minimal project just to give the Parks Department employees a space to work because they are currently in a trailer.
yes,
And to clarify even further, again, the money that's operations for the city and the money that would be used to build a building for these employees is completely separate and cannot be moved.
used.
So
Yes, it is.
this has nothing to do with the override
Yeah.
dollars.
But we will be.
In a minute.
Yeah, we'll be back around on that very soon on those discussions about the maintenance building. Millside Park upgrades and World Cup watch parties. I did print out
Scottish.
I will be in attendance live
Yeah.
at Gillette for Friday night's Scotland.
There you go.
So here's the schedule.
Start driving now.
Yeah. So we have the 19th and the 20th for events, 26th, 27th, and then Monday, the 29th is the round of 32 laser show, 250 celebration, music, all that stuff. So I made a copy if anybody's interested to see what's going on with that.
What are the dates again, John?
It starts the 19th and it goes until the June 29th. So like a 10-day. Those are each day that are printed out there. You can see what each day is.
I was informed that there's some misprints out and about the US game on Friday.
They're showing the US game on Friday.
Yes, but some people are in some of the screenshots that are being shared. It says the game is at 4, the game's really at 3.
Game of 3.
So just if you hear anything, that's where it's coming from.
Okay. Yeah, the game's at 3 for the US, but they are showing that on Friday at Millside as well. There's been a lot of it. I've been up to Millside quite a bit with lots of meetings. All good stuff. The upgrades that are coming out of this, having Wi-Fi at Millside now is part of this. GoNet Speed is providing Wi-Fi. All the electrical for the band shell has been redone. There's some other upgrades that are going on, just minor stuff that will help long term for other events years down the line. Some plumbing that will the city got a reverse osmosis water filtration system donated for this. So we can just basically plug in a garden hose and it'll generate clean water for people to bottle and drink right at the event. So there's no worrying about anybody trying to drink out of a garden hose or anything that's unsanitary, or bringing in a lot of cases of plastic bottles and things like that. So, it's definitely the upgrades that we're seeing are really going to be long term. Are they going to benefit Millside a lot? There's been no cost to our department.
In-kind donation.
It's all through the grant and everything else. There's been no cost to our department for any of these upgrades.
Is there a screen being donated as well?
There's
Or
a
would that
screen
go-
that's, I don't know if it's being donated, but there's a screen that's gonna be there. The staff was up there today. We're gonna do some things. I want them to weed whack and some other stuff, and they're gonna mow tomorrow. But he said they're already setting up a stage and stuff like that, like they're already, I'm planning on going up there tomorrow. And checking on things, because there's a few things I have to meet with some contractors up there for it. So I'll see where they are at tomorrow with that. But yeah, it's pretty exciting overall on what's going on up there. So hopefully people come out and enjoy it. Hopefully it's good weather. Any questions on that one? No. Main Street Cemetery Stone Project, it started, or it's not started, but the group is ready to go. There's supposed to be a press release coming out from the mayor's office. It's supposed to come out last Thursday. It hasn't come out as of yet, but it should be soon. I know there's been a lot. It's very busy on a lot of departments lately. So when that gets out, you'll see that, and that's to redo this. So foundations and markers and all that stuff at Main Street. Pickleball courts, the paint is bubbling and on the new courts, especially on the back line side. I called our general contractor, who called the painting contractor. The painter came up a week ago. Yesterday, not tomorrow, will be a week. He came up late last week to look at it. Doesn't seem too concerned. Thinks it's an easy fix. So we'll see. We'll see if it's an easy fix or not too concerning. But he said that his thought was that there was and I don't know the day or the weather, but that some moisture got underneath the paint in that area after they did it. So where that moisture came from, I don't know, or I've heard this field, but they are going to take care of it. At no charge.
What's the warranty on that paint?
I would say it's gotta be at least a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's getting worse. It's extending now. There are some bubbles up actually near the court,
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah,
So-
they're gonna make it right. He said they're
Yeah.
coming back, so. We'll
I just want to make sure that, because we've talked before about a couple of pit marks on the other court, and their comment, as I recall, was there's nothing to do until the court needs to be repainted.
Yeah.
So my thought is these courts really should be repainted. It's progressing and the bubbles they pop and then they peel off. So, and it's moving like it's.
Yeah, and we have it documented as well, so we're just gonna have to keep a paper trail
Okay.
on it.
Yeah,
And you know,
I just wonder if we need to ask for it to be repainted rather than.
yeah, I'll let him know that it will,
Yeah.
he's supposed to get a hold of me when they're coming up, because I said I first of all gotta have some timing, because I gotta notify
Yeah,
that we're shutting down courts for the repainting and the process and all that stuff. So, and when he reaches back out, we can talk about that again. But
I just remember you telling me what that cost.
yeah, exactly. And that's why you better stand by that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. Bocce, ongoing, so it looks like the second one is done, but you've got to wait for the rain.
That's what the sign said.
Okay, wait for the rain, that's tonight.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Today or
that's
tomorrow. So we'll have our second court done. We are going to, continue, we might take the rest of the year with everything that's going on, but we're gonna get that third court done as well. And George will put some beautification touches more on it, as we get some time. When we get to, usually like, there's a time between like the third week of August and the second week of September where George can look at some of the things that, he wants to add and, and fix and, beautify and do all that stuff. So, when he has that time to do that, he'll put his personal touch on that to get it. But I know they put the stonework in there. They redid this, the painted this, put the material in there and stuff. So it's a lot of use, and we're happy that it gets a lot
The
of
bench
use.
was moved back to one of the benches was moved back. They moved it away to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on it. He knows. All booth, nothing to report on that. We're knee deep in everything else. At some point, we're gonna get that project done. It's on my list, I swear. New city playground, things are progressing there. Hopefully we have some news in the fall on the Land Water Conservation Fund grant for that project. And that's the front parcel, not the big project out back, but the smaller one out in front there. And then go ahead, sorry.
Can I ask a question that is kind of a combination of youth sports and a park facility?
Sure.
It's not specifically listed.
Yeah. it's there somewhere.
And maybe it could just be a note to discuss at your next upcoming meeting in July. Specifically like the bathroom in the soccer shed. If that's something that maybe the park would be able to assist with taking over just that middle section, because there's now been a few times that I've been down there. I know that was kind of one of the headaches that they run into. If there's no home game for any person that had a key or anything, you're going down to the park to unlock it and then having to go back to lock it. And I've just noticed being down at the park a lot this year as a spectator more and not a board or a coach. There's several times that area of the park is completely filled and none of the facilities are open. Because obviously members of the board are not present. So I don't know if it's something that maybe the park could help in that sense of taking over, just because we are seeing a large number over there. And, obviously being on the commission, I was easy to tell people, oh, just go back and there's another bathroom if you go as on your way out. But we do have facilities in that area that maybe you'd be able to contribute.
Yeah, I don't think we have a problem opening and closing it. But taking over cleaning and all that stuff, so it's gonna be a conversation with soccer, what their taste is for that.
Yeah.
But having
I'm sorry, I took your key.
having security block that at the end of the night is not a problem.
Yeah.
They go pickleball, they lock that up.
Yeah.
And they
Or maybe that's just the part of it is just opening it and closing it.
And
And then
having-
maybe there's a contribution from other programs that are in the area
Yeah,
to help.
and
with
having
that space.
the maintenance staff when they go down to.
They're there
open-
anyways.
Yeah, exactly. They're at pickleball, they unlock the gate there, they can open one bathroom or whatever. And if there's so maintenance gets a schedule. With pavilion rentals, picnic rentals, events, everything. So they have a master schedule every week that's done. And if it said like, bathroom, soccer bathroom, open at 3 or 2:30 or whatever, and then security would know to close it, something like that could be put in there. Just because you worry, and I don't know if Jamie's saying yet, but there's been a lot of vandalism in the soccer area. A lot. And security's had to call police. It's getting really bad down there. So leaving a bathroom unattended down there is not the wisest choice at this point of what's going on down there. We most recently just had someone drive. They didn't go on the varsity field itself, but behind the varsity goal and ripped it apart. We have kids on those e-bikes ripping up and through we had kids hopping the fence, the pickleball and jumping in there and goofing around in there. It's becoming and security's on, they're parking a lot down there and they're getting the police involved, but it's getting bad down there in that soccer area. So that's why, it's going to be a conversation of, if we open it, the park's not going to take responsibility for, damages for something that we were asked to open, and if it got vandalized and torn apart. We dealt with this at Millside for years, but now Millside's very active, so we don't see it like we used to. But Millside used to be a regular, a couple $1,000s a year in damages, sinks off the walls, the fountain out in front,
Porta potty.
yeah, and now we have people stealing our flowers, all the nice flowers we planted. They stole them at the boardwalk, they stole the ones at the pool. So all these flowers we're planting, people are plucking them down. Jeff said someone tried to literally pick up the entire base, like take out the dirt and try to get it out of the planter to steal it. Like, yeah, this is the stuff we deal with all the
It's
time.
time for us to really talk about cameras, because having security parked somewhere is different than having
Yeah.
footage that can then be
Yeah,
submitted to the
it's,
police department.
we have Wi-Fi, we only have Wi-Fi to the pool area. It doesn't go.
But
expand past
now
that.
there's it's
technology,
very
yeah.
inexpensive
Yeah.
to create. And to add on though, I want to say pickleball, like now we have 4 courts down there. We often have 20, 30 people down there at a time. And if there was an agreement that we could find a way to share, I don't have an
Some sort of,
avenue in
yeah.
the same way, but like the people there would really appreciate having access to a bathroom. And I think, it's a hard sell to try to explain why that bathroom is there unlocked when it's on park property, and I do know because my family was part of building that building
Yeah.
and fundraising for it. So I appreciate that. And also it's contained. It's not asking to use the snack shack, not asking to use the storage. It's a restroom that the park contributes to maintaining, turning on the water, pays for the water, electricity, things like that. So I think that part of the conversation would be great to move forward with soccer and other
Yeah.
people are back there with walking all the time and, so I think
Yeah.
it's something to talk about. But
Yeah,
the
for sure.
security is a huge issue for
It's-
all of the reasons.
Yeah, it moves. Like some years it's Shanfield. This year
Yeah.
it just happens to be soccer, we deal with this all the time. It's just a matter of where it goes. And now they're
Yeah.
back out to the soccer area and that's where our focus is to, but we're up for whatever that can deter or at least record whatever nonsense is.
Right.
Sometimes just putting it up is enough.
Mhm.
If you see a camera.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Good topic.
Very good. Such a good topic.
Oh, continue this, nothing new on the, this COA rec center complex is just something that we'll always have an eye at as well. It's kind of like, I'll just put rec coordinator down there all the time. It's like something we'll always talk about and hopefully at some point it happens.
At your meeting where was this council on aging at least like, do they like the idea or are they, cause
We haven't officially met as a
Okay.
group. We were gonna try to do something together in July. With a group from Council on Aging and
Mhm.
whatever. We met informally, but not as like, okay, here's the stakeholders from Council on Aging, here's the stakeholders from, it kind of got on the back burner for the
You
last
said that
60
last
60
month.
days.
Yeah, I can
or
just from being at the senior center, sometimes when I talk to people about, cause they're not sure this new senior center is ever gonna get built, whatever. But having it combined, it's not really clear to them and we have to think about how we would kind of like sell it. Because they thinking, oh, I don't want all these little kids running through my senior center, so I'm just cautioning, I'm saying, cause it would be really good for the senior center to have a gym. And it would be really good for the park. And, I see so many positives in it. But I think we need to be very careful when we're talking, maybe not the committee, but at least the public,
Yeah,
the senior public.
yeah, there would need to be like a Q&A kind of thing, like, would there be,
Well, similar to how the schools did
Yeah.
it, like the community could come in, there were sticky notes on like, what do
Yeah.
you like, what don't you
Because
like?
you don't want the
What is it?
misinformation.
yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
no,
That's
no,
the thing,
no,
yeah.
they're not going to be
Yeah.
in your kitchen,
Yeah.
cooking with you
You're
at
going
10
to your
o'clock
yoga
unless you're
class.
5.
Yoga with kids.
Yeah.
instead of goats.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yoga with Tom.
Yeah,
Not
so,
relaxed.
yeah, it would, I think the overall plan would be to see if there's an appetite for it, or if it's a standalone or a combination, and move forward with both proposals. If you're gonna do a feasibility study, do it on both and see which one the public really wants to see, if any.
And the meeting that I listened to too, I think a lot of it is misinformation and some of it, like they were just looking at size. And it's just like, well, Parks is getting a bigger one. It's like, okay, but a gym is a huge space square footage, and then just open maintenance buildings. And knowing that like the gym is not just standalone, to your point, Parks and Rec, and like some of the offices are not offices, but like conference rooms maybe won't be standalone Parks and Rec. It could be more community wide. So
And I also want to clarify that the proposal that came out was just the mayor was like, here's an idea.
Mhm.
It wasn't like an
No, it wasn't.
actual study
Correct.
that people on both sides had
Mhm.
agreed.
Knew
So
what was
I think
going on.
that created a lot of confusion
Yeah.
too. Because I know the Council on Aging has spent many years at knowing what square footage actually
And what
they would need, even with sharing like a gym or whatever, the other spaces weren't going to be appropriate for that, based on our population. And so I think it would be good to at least have a public meeting where we can say, we would like to consider this, even if we're not sure to do it now, but here is the vision we have and here is the input this is the process we would do, to help alleviate some of those things. Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
No,
Okay,
no, that's all
sorry.
right.
Okay, so we have to talk about our next meeting. Are we gonna skip July?
We're skipping July,
Okay.
we usually skip July, and then August,
So the second Wednesday in August is August 12th.
August 12th. And
Does that work for you?
definitely works. Historically, years ago, I used to host it in the park at Pavilion 1 and provide food. I usually cook out, and we have a little dinner before the meeting, so
We have vacation. No, that's okay.
I'll save you, I'll put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Well, we have to see, because we do have to have a quorum.
Yeah,
Are
so
you
if,
away then
away.
too?
I'm
You're away.
Will you
Yeah,
be here
at this
August
point, I
12th?
should be here.
1, 2, 3.
we have to ask Eric.
So we have to ask.
One of them
Eric.
definitely have to be here.
So if not, what about the following Wednesday, the
The
19th,
19th, I'm not available.
the 26th?
26th, I am,
Yeah.
but I don't know if we want to wait that long.
Okay. Okay.
So you're away on the 12th?
I am.
I'm away. I'm going to be away.
You're
Okay.
away.
I'm way away.
And a way that you can't do virtually?
I don't know. I'm gonna be on a lake, I mean. so
I
it's
mean,
like,
I don't want
maybe I could, but-
No, I wouldn't worry about it.
So we'll have to ask Brian. and
Well, yeah,
Eric
we'll
to make
check,
sure.
we'll check on the 12th.
Okay.
If there was a business portion to the meeting that we could do virtually, I might be able, any of those dates I might be able to
Okay.
join. But I won't know,
Okay.
assuming the satellite is working.
I do have Wi-Fi, but it all depends on what's going on.
So we'll tentatively say
Cool.
August 12th at 6 PM, this conference room.
No, we're going to go
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Pavilion.
to Pavilion 1.
Pavilion 1.
Pavilion 1 and we usually meet at like 5:30 for the dinner. I usually start cooking around 5:30 I serve, and then,
And there's no Wi-Fi there, but I could hook
I
up to a
have-
hotspot.
yeah, I have a
Okay,
hotspot.
great. So we can still do
Yeah.
hybrid.
I have
It's been a while.
What's that?
At the
Since you
pavilion.
were, since you did one of those.
I know, it's
Yeah.
been
I went
years.
to
I don't
one,
think we,
but there was no
There was
food.
no food. the first
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Jay, remember that, yeah.
There was a lot of bugs.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
No, I think it actually was, I don't think that since the pandemic. I think it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
This is right before after.
Yeah, I don't think I've done it in 3 or 4 years.
I don't know. time
I think
We
we
went
went
to
to
the
year, the
ribbon
was the
cutting
year
for
of
the
the
pool.
pool. Yeah, because we had our meeting right after.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ribbon cutting.
yeah.
So there was refreshments.
There was refreshments.
Yes.
I'm posting in the park. I like to provide.
We walked over to the other one. It
Yeah.
wasn't the one. Well, there is at the brewing center, wasn't there?
Alright.
Okay,
Anything
so
else
we
before-
will
Yeah.
adjourn the meeting at 7:14.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.